All right. Hey, Maximilian, so awesome to have you here.
Same here. Thank you.
We met the last time in Berlin a couple of weeks ago.
That's right.
It's super awesome to connect again. Back then, we talked about some of the things that have excited both of us lately.
Yeah, I know. It was quite, I'd say, for most people, probably strange what we've talked about.
At least in the venue. We're like at by the Spree in Berlin, by the river, and in this bit traditional side pub. You know, like talking about maybe not so traditional topics. First of all, I have to ask you, what does living life to the fullest mean to you?
Living life to the fullest. I would really say, and it kind of ties to what I'm talking about a little later now at the summit. I think spending as much time in flow as possible. And what I mean with flow is really the biochemical state of flow where your prefrontal cortex shuts off, time dilates, performance skyrockets, and you just feel as present as you will ever feel. And I think if I can create more moments like that, in an environment where I'm triggered to get into flow, then I think this for me means living life to the fullest.
Awesome. So you're also the founder of FlowGrade.
That's right.
Can you tell us a bit what it's about?
Yeah, so FlowGrade is a premium biohacking brand, and we are sort of like a treasure trove for effective biohacking methods. So people come to us and they look for methods to sleep better, for products to optimize their nutrition, to be more productive. So we really position ourselves as a brand for biohacking, and that's why we love to be part of the whole community in Europe and sponsoring these events and just coming here talking to you guys. And I think it's just so great. There's so many companies now, like Ambronite, coming up and doing something really innovative to help sort of upgrade body and mind. And now talking about FlowGrade, how it came to be,
yeah.
I thought, everyone's trying to upgrade, optimize something. But when you optimize something, you need to have a goal. For example, a marathon runner might want to break a record. A basketball player wants to win a championship. A worker wants to finish a project. So you always have a goal. But the problem with that is you create desire and you upgrade to a certain point, and then you have to sort of decide again and you upgrade again. And
right.
in no
you
time,
kind of plateau in the middle, or
yeah, you're in some sort of circle of optimizing, and it's sort of the purpose in itself is optimizing, and then you're in trouble. So what I think has to happen at some point, you have to question what's my goal. And that's why I think for most people it should be to create more flow moments, because when you're in flow, you're more productive. You can actually learn a language in half the time. You can finish project earlier to spend more time with family and friends. So when you have the state of high performance, as some call it, or being in the zone, or being in the pocket, as jazz musicians say,
yeah.
then this is what I said, it's living life to the fullest. So that's why I wanted to get away from upgrading, and back to flow grading, taking it a step slower, finding what's working for you, creating habits that are working for you that put you into flow. And that's what FlowGrade means.
So you were talking about connecting FlowGrade or finding your own FlowGrade through habit formation. So have you found any tools that are perhaps something that you recommend to people who you talk to and who you've personally found effective to find that FlowGrade?
Yeah, so there are actually a bunch of methods you can do, and I think it's up to everyone, to every individual, to select which methods you want to include in your lifestyle. And for me, what's been working really well is intermittent fasting, and also a high-fat nutrition, a ketogenic diet in a way. So I don't do it all the time, but that works really well in order to focus, in order to really keep your stress level on your body really low. And I also use substitutes such as Ambronite to save time, to get a high-quality meal without putting stress on my body, without causing inflammation or brain fog, staying focused, staying active. So nutrition is a huge part. There are a bunch of hacks there. I think high-fat coffee is one of my favorite hacks there. Then recently I've been really interested in productivity, because I think nowadays we're so overwhelmed with stimuli.
Super overwhelmed, almost addicted to stimuli also.
Yeah, no, it creates addictions, because all these notifications popping up, they actually create a short little dopamine boost every time that you look at your phone and you see Facebook is, okay, another notification. So to kind of get rid of these distractions and think about how you can be more productive. And I found one hack that's working tremendously well for me. And it's really simple. It's the night before. Think about and write down the one task you need to do the next day, and then let your subconscious work overnight. And when I do that, and I created this habit sort of for me, because sometimes I'm so too tired, I do it tomorrow, or I do it in the morning, but that doesn't work. So you have to do it at night, and you will really notice that when you wake up, your subconscious worked on it already, prepared you, and then you have a much easier time getting into flow, working on this problem or project or task or athletic competition when you did it the night before. So this is an easy hack I think everyone can use. It helped me a lot.
Exciting. I think that connects to something that I've been discussing with many creative professionals, many people who are just expressing themselves through their creativity, who have this habit of leaving a sentence halfway done before ending their writing practice, or not trying to finish a work of visual art on the same go, but rather, like leaving it to an obvious cliff where it's easy to kind of start again the next day. So that they're trying to tackle the kind of the horror of the empty page, if you will, by having an obvious point where they can take their craft up again.
Yeah, no, I think that's an interesting hack actually to do that, because I think some people are really drawn to probably finish something and leave their desk completely clean, and then start the next day. And others are a little more chaotic naturally, and they leave things open.
But which category do you fall in?
It's an interesting question, because I'm actually an ENFP type, but when you look at the Myers-Briggs test indicator,
Yep.
so more of a campaigner thing, and I think I tend to be more chaotic and creative, but I have the capacity to focus and kind of do to-do lists and get them done. So I'm sort of in between. I tend to sometimes be a little too chaotic, but I like that because it helps me in my entrepreneurial ways to come up with new ideas. And I have a team now of some people that are really good and organized, and I can push some ideas to them, and then they do that. So I think I'm in between ENFJ and ENFP. Mm-hmm. If you're interested in MBTI, then you know what I'm talking about.
Definitely. And I think, like the interesting side of that is to kind of recognize your own weaknesses and strengths and build the team to support you and to accomplish the mission that kind of complements those both. Kind of, like lets you perform at your best where you are at your best, at your edge, and then find, for example, for your team to find the people and the player to fill in the gaps that are perhaps not the biggest strength. So,
right.
So I guess that's something very common also in the startup way of recognizing these feats and moving towards them.
Right.
I think
do you know your personality type, by the way?
I've made a couple of tests. I can't recall the ones, but they were the ones that were pretty obvious to me. Like I also had the campaigner type.
Yeah,
so,
I think you're. I was about to say, I think you tend to be an ENF something, PJ.
I'm definitely moving in that region. So how about looking at, for example, from the habit perspective, which single habit has helped you thrive during the last year or two most that you could maybe share?
Wow, yeah. I try out a lot of habits. Some stick, some don't. I switch them quite a bit. One that I really like now is my cold shower in the morning. It gets me started. It's sort of a primer. I don't even need, I like to meditate, but I don't do it every morning. But I think the cold shower hitting, the ice cold water hitting my skin and it waking me up and giving me that boost, it's almost addictive to me now. It's always some sort of getting over the hump to do it, but
I know, right?
But it's a habit that I love, and it just gets me going. And it's sort of like I'm there now, I'm primed. A couple others are that in the morning, I try to spend some time in thought and really plan out the day again, think about what I'm about to do, take my cup of coffee, just don't get up and rush anything. Because I think that's, Ben Greenfield was telling me actually that your parasympathicus in the morning.
Parasympathetic nervous system, yeah.
Exactly, so it's more active in the morning, so you should actually cater to it more then, and later on you should become active physically and then really get into the physical activities of the day and maybe be a little more cerebral in the morning. So this is one hack. Let me think. There are so many. Gratitude is a fantastic one. I love it. So whenever I feel that I'm sort of having a down day, what I do is I take a piece of paper or the 5-minute journal.
Yep, 5-minute journal, classic.
And
Works every time.
Really, and I just say, okay, I have to force me now to think about something that I'm grateful for. And when I ask you, Simo, now, what are you grateful for? Automatically, you will start thinking about positive things in your life.
Exactly.
This is the definition of gratitude, counting one's blessings.
Yeah.
So when you do that, you create this like positive mood in your head. So whatever mood you were in before, you think of positive things in your life and you say, actually, it's not that bad. I have some positive things that I can think of. So all of a sudden, you're just in a little bit of a better mood. It's a perfect hack. It's super simple. It takes 5 minutes.
Exactly. And I'll be using this, for example, this morning, just one of the techniques, just looking into the sky. And well, today we had blue skies in London. But even if you don't, I really like the headspace way of thinking about it. Like remembering that behind all those clouds, you have a blue sky. And at the same time, you can kind of, like relate and ground yourself and find the magnitude of your ailments to be relatively small at any given situation if you remember to kind of be mindful about that. So
that's it. This is again raising the question: what do we do everything we do here for? Because it allows us to get to a new stage of mental and physical being, and actually solve problems that are larger than us.
Exactly.
Or think about them. And this is almost the philosophical element of the whole art of biohacking.
It is.
Because it's about, upgrading body and mind, becoming smarter and feeling better about yourself and so on. But then it will never end because we have the human condition. We're all bound to, we age and we face death at some point, probably, unless someone of us will solve the problem. So I think having the capability to really deal with these philosophical questions and spending time in thought, calming the inner critic, shutting off that prefrontal cortex area, and just being in the moment. I think this is so important of being human, and it allows us to spend more time in that state.
Absolutely. So what excites you right now in the food space? You also have plenty of expertise in that sense from the performance side and the food side. So what's happening there that you're particularly excited about right now?
Well, I like the food tech industry is super interesting. There are a bunch of different things, that people are working on. One is actually, and not saying that because Amber Knight is in front of me right now, but food substitutes, healthy alternatives that allow you to replace a meal with something really healthy without having to spend much time. Because I think that's a huge problem now. When you tell people about paleo or the bulletproof diet, it takes a lot of time, money, and effort to eat like that. So a lot of people can't do that. They go to work, they have to, go to the baker across the street to get their energy. And they say, I can't do it. And when you offer them a solution like that is organic, very nutritious, gives you energy without causing brain fog or inflammation, and tastes good as well, and you can combine it with some oils and maybe some easy hacks, then that is a very interesting field, and I'm glad there are a couple of people working on it and solving it and developing it further. I think you guys came up with your 5th version already, right?
Yeah, we're launching it this fall, so yeah. That's
so amazing. So I think that's a great movement in food. Then I think insect-based food is very interesting.
Very interesting.
It's super sustainable. It's just the most sustainable source actually of protein. We have some insect protein bars in our shop, Exoprotein. So I met the founder, Gabby, and we recorded a podcast together once. And
awesome. They're awesome dudes. We've changed notes with them.
Yeah, they're fun, and there are a couple others working in that field. So I think that's an interesting movement. And just in general, I'd say the transparency now in food startups. So people tend to explain you where the food is coming from, like what we do with our coffee. Where it's roasted, where it comes from, what single state, how high it is. Even nowadays with technology, you can even offer your customers direct communication almost with your farmer. You can, Snapchat or Instagram or Twitter, and you can show them, hey, this is the farmer and how he's living, and he's actually, maybe hopefully a happy person making a living for him and his family, working on a farm in Guatemala. And you create this transparency, and people can then really decide, yeah, I like that product, I like what they do, or I don't like it. Because I think that's a huge problem right now, where companies take advantage of the demands and wants of people, and with simple psychological marketing techniques, sell them anything. So you don't know what you get, right?
Yeah.
So now we're breaking this open. and we using really simple, inexpensive ways of showing people, hey, this is a product, you might pay a little premium for it, but you know what you get, you know where it's from, you know what it's in there, and who's behind it, and you can actually talk to us, and I think that's great.
Definitely.